Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Israel Whites 13 channel. I'm your host, and I am joined by my good friend, co-host, and co-pilot from the planet Krypton, the Kryptonian known as Kar-El. Kar-El, how are you doing tonight, my brother?
Doing great, my friend. It's good to be here.
Good to have you, like always. Carl, I'm gonna hand you over the reins, and I know you wanted to extend some prayers out to some good friends of yours. So have at it, my brother.
Yeah, I would just like to ask the listeners if they would to remember our good friend Emily in your prayers. She's going through some issues right now. I'm not going to divulge what was happening, but she's facing some sad times with a family member and our buddy Barb, health issues, and a good friend of mine. Spent time in the military with him since '77, and he just got diagnosed with bladder cancer. So just remember them in your prayers. And then, if I can do a shout out, Joey, I'd like to shout out to Mystery History 2 there, and our buddy, the world's most dangerous anthropologist. Just appreciate you guys helping spread the word.
Yeah, bro, that's beautiful. If you want, Carl, why don't you lead us in prayer and we'll actually pray for these good friends of yours, brother.
You got it. Dear Heavenly Father, I just come to you right now in prayer, seeking your face, seeking your favor, Father, and ask that you just be with Emily as she goes what she's going through. Be with Barb, Father, just touch her health wise, and my buddy T, Father, that you would just help him get through this thing, Father. Bladder cancer is a pretty serious thing, and he shook up. Just give him peace and healing, and Father, be with us as we do this show. Bless us, keep us in your will and in your favor, Father. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Heavenly Father, Jesus, I pray in your holy name and ask for your hand of protection over friends of Carl's that are in need, Father. We thank you for always bestowing wisdom and knowledge on us, Father, and we ask that you help us spread things that are of the unknown, Father, and we thank you for always blessing our families. In Jesus Christ's name, we give praise and honor, Father. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Carl. Well, let's hit the ground running like always. We're going back again to the land of Mu. This is part 4. There's probably going to be a part 5. There's so much information on this, and if you delve into this, I guess the easiest way to say it, you can never understand what you're living through in this grand chess game that we're living in right now and all these crazy times unless you go back to the very beginning. And the very beginning started in the land of Muta, known as Atlantis. And we are going to go there and we are going to keep beating this drum until people get a deeper understanding. And when you understand this wisdom and knowledge from our very beginning, from our very start, our foundation of our people, you will have a deeper understanding of God's word that is written in the Bible. So having said that, Carl, we're going to go to the first slide and I'm going to unleash you, my brother. I'm going to minimize us and let you have at it.
All right. Going to put my peepers on. The continent of Muta, United States, North America, the new Atlantis. The first settlers in the United States made their settlements along the southwestern states. These settlements were wiped out by cataclysm at the same time that contemporary settlements in Mexico were also destroyed. These were of a very early date, probably during Pliocene times. A second civilization and probably a third followed them. These were destroyed by cataclysm and by the raising of the great ranges of mountains. The raising of these mountains, by the way, made deserts of many fertile lands in Colorado, Arizona, and Nevada. The cliff dwellers were the last colonizers to arrive from the land of Mu. When the first settlements were made in the southwestern states, it was before the mountains were raised. When the cliff dwellers entered America, the mountains probably had been raised, for we find their homes in the cliffs of the mountains. The cliff dwellers spoke the Yucatan Maya language, as is shown by their use of the Maya hieratic alphabet, which I have found in Nevada. One would judge from the points where we find the remains of cliff dwellers in Colorado that the mouth of the Colorado River was their port of entry into America. It is quite apparent that after reaching their objective point from the motherland, which was the mouth of the.
So let's pause there for a second, Carl. This we're going back to Churchward again in his book. This is an incredible book. And he's giving you a map of the entry point when the land of Muta, the civilization of Adam, was destroyed by the Most High God in this land, and the entire civilization was taken from him. The survivors of his children, now in the flesh, they entered into the United States, which obviously, how would they have known about this? Because this was a part of the land of Muta or Atum's land. And Churchward is giving you an illustration of their entry point into these states here in the US. So having said that, Carl, let me see, which was the mouth of let's go to the next slide. Go ahead, Carl, right here.
The mouth of the Colorado River. They proceeded to work up the river and inland. From remains of them found in various states, it is shown that they did not confine themselves to the main river, but worked out in all of its branches and smaller tributaries, some even gone beyond the water route by trails on land, such as the Old Zuni Trail. Generally, however, they seem to choose water routes in preference to land routes. Working inland from the Colorado River's mouth, they would first pass through Arizona, which state is full of their remains. Their old homes and remains show that they worked out on the Gila, Little Colorado, and Grand Rivers. In New Mexico, the remains are also very abundant. After passing through Arizona up the Colorado River, they wound their way to Utah. Utah is rich in their remains. Branches of the Colorado continue into Nevada and Wyoming, and in both states there are remains of these ancient people. Leaving the main river and working out in the branches, the Grand, San Juan, White, and Yampa rivers, the cliff dwellers would naturally enter Colorado, a state which is extremely rich in their remains. Basing calculations on these not only possible but probable routes, the great figures which are pecked and painted into the rocks in peculiar positions with extraordinary hands and feet were unquestionably guideposts, a dumb language guiding and telling the traveler about the journey ahead of him. I know this is true because I have deciphered and translated some of them. Okay, all of these regions surrounding the Colorado River are, and the next slide. But Joey, if I might for a minute, I've explored some of these cliff dwellings in a lot of these states that were mentioned here, and it is obvious these people built these dwellings in these cliffs to protect themselves from obvious giants down below, the way they set them up with the ladders they could pull up behind them, and they were tucked in so they could actually hide themselves from whatever was above them. So obviously there was some supernatural activity going on in this area at the time that these guys were spreading out and setting up their little camps and their communities.
Well, and could these giants be like what Plato referred to
Yes, sir.
as these multi-arm, multi-leg, two-faced individuals
Yes, sir.
known as
Okay.
the Nephilim?
Yes, sir. Nephilim, that's it. Nephilim were apparently here at the time. All of the regions surrounding the Colorado River are literally filled with the works of old cliff dwellers. These remains consist of cliff houses, rock paintings, rock writings, and various utensils and instruments. The fact that these works were only found in the vicinity of the Colorado River and its tributaries is the strongest sort of evidence that the Colorado River was the gateway through which cliff dwellers entered America, and possibly their predecessors as well. At what time the cliff dwellers came to America is problematical. There is no positive evidence, nor in fact is there anything to give us any intimation. They or their ancestors, however, were here before the mountains were raised, which would fix their dates at 12,500 years ago. In Arizona, Dr. Walter Hugh of the Smithsonian Institute made an examination of the petrified forest of Arizona and reported he had found the remains of 4 distinct peoples there. This find corresponds with my own discoveries in our western and southwestern states.
Let's pause there, Carl. I find your analysis earlier of this region when you were speaking of these the giants there, and I just wanted to add to that thought. Something just came to mind. And could it also have been that they built these type of structures to also protect them from the Native Americans, who, as we found in other I guess archaeological finds of these fields with skeletal remains, with like Kennewick Man, who had an arrow shot into his rear end and it was dug out of his back. I mean, just throwing that out there, but
No,
obviously
no,
they were under attack.
Yes, sir. And you're right. These were Adamites. These were Atlanteans who were going into a land filled with the 6 day creation, or the Enosh, beast of the field type folks. So yes, they would have been under attack and have to defend themselves from the initial onset of entering into this land and as they spread out.
And also notice what, to confirm what you're saying, if you look at the very word, this right here, this word Yampa River, it's another word play. And if you re-scramble this word AMPA, you get rid of that P and put a D, and then you reverse these two, it's Adam. So this is Adam's River. So obviously there was a foreknowledge of this land of the United States from these survivors of the land of Muta, who made their way here when the main civilization was destroyed. What are your thoughts on that, Carl?
Well, we covered before that what the west coast of the United States is the east coast of Mu, and the west coast I'm sorry, the west coast is the east coast of Mu, and the east coast is the west coast of Atlantis. So yeah, that uh, I'm thinking they certainly had knowledge of this place before.
And if you notice, strewn all over the face of the earth and under the water, there are these giant megalithic sites that have been destroyed as like a giant cataclysm came from out of nowhere and destroyed this civilization in one fell swoop, almost in the middle of them still building or adding on to their prior civilization. Carl, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, and I've seen evidence of that, not under the oceans, but around Europe, a lot out west in Utah. You can see evidence of that as well. That there was a higher civilization that was put to a complete halt by and what apparently was a worldwide cataclysmic event.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. All right, so let's go to the next slide here. All right, Carl, you up for this, or you want to break?
Oh
You let
yes,
me know.
sir. I'll throw my peepers on and go for it, buddy. You tell me when you
No, no,
want to
you
take.
have at it, bro.
All right. Okay. We previous slide as well as Mexico. Three of Hugh's civilizations existed before the mountains were raised. Okay. The accompanying illustration is a copy of an ancient rock picture found in the Havasupai Canyon, Arizona. It is more than 12,000 years old and shows that man was living in Arizona contemporaneously with the mastodon. New Mexico. The ancient history of New Mexico is an ancient history of the Pueblo Indians, whose past constitutes one of the most fascinating tales ever told about the ancient men of North America. The Pueblo Indians, when they first came to America, were very highly civilized and enlightened people. Their traditions and the data found among them prove this fact. They have the oldest records and traditions of any North Americans who came to this continent from the motherland. In our western and southwestern states are many ancient ruined cities and structures, rock pictures, rock writings, pottery, and traditions. Our famous scientists and archaeologists have been particularly bashful about telling us anything about the people who occupied this land before the present inhabitants. The most they tell us is these writings were from 3,000 to 5,000 years old. It is from the Hopi and Zuni Pueblos that the most information is to be obtained. To me, these tribes are most interesting of all the North American Indians living today. Possibly this is because I know them better than any of the others. Their connection with the motherland is perfectly established, and their traditions also tell us they originally came to America from Mu. All of their religious inspirations are traceable back to the first religion of man. I'm going to move us out of the way here. And their sacred symbols are virtually those of Mu. I have a Pueblo ceremonial blanket, the ornamentations of which are sacred symbols derived from the motherland. Their traditions are interesting and far-reaching. An extremely fascinating tradition of theirs is about the creation of the first man and woman, the Adam and Eve of the Bible. It is most valuable by reason of the fact that the language of the motherland is found in the esoteric meaning of some of the words. The Zunis and the Hopis have two special gods who are supposed to shape the destinies of mankind. These gods are held sacred, but are not worshipped. In other words, they are comparable to our saints. The names of these two gods, Ahaina, I'm going to butcher this, but Ahainta and Matsalema, These were the first children of the God of the sun. This sentence will bear careful analysis. The Hopi Indians have differentiated between the sun, the collective symbol of God, and God himself. They point out that the first man and the first woman were the children of God himself and not the children of his symbol of the sun. I have found in ancient writings, especially in those of the Hindus and Egyptians, passages where the sun is called the father of life and the waters the mother of life. But in each instance, they are speaking about nature's products and not the special creation called man. They also speak of the sun's forces working on the earth's affinitive forces. The Hopi Indians hold that man and woman were the children of God, the great God who rules the sun. Therefore, they are not the offspring of nature. And I further, and if, probably the next slide. All right, I'm going to
Hold on.
move this.
Let's pause for a second here, Carl.
Yes, sir.
All right. Carl, any first thoughts when you read through these
Well,
texts right
yeah,
here?
yeah, I've actually visited some of the pueblos for the Pueblo Indians, Zuni Pueblo, and brother, they build with cut stones, square stones. Their structures are not like anything you would expect. Matter of fact, when the Spaniards got here, they were amazed that the structures these people were living in were about what the Spaniards left: stone buildings and everything, square structures, and very advanced.
Well, my thought on that, to add to what you're saying, did they just re-inhabit something that was already there? Are these are is Churchward speaking of the lesser men here? I don't know when he's speaking of these so-called Indians, because if you do any research, they're not really Indians. The only Indians are from India. You know, they were falsely given that name, and I'm not going to get into a long rant on that, but I would say if these were individuals that did escape, as Church Ward is alluding to, that these would be the lesser men that lived under the two gods here that they are trying to speak of, Anahita and Mata Selema. And if you notice in these words, Adam is hid here again in both words. If you look here at the end of this word right here, and I'm butchering it as well, Anahita, aha eneta, whatever, because I don't read that Native American language. But if you read this right here, the end of the word is at. So we have the root word of Adam again, atam, and then the beginning of this word is mat. So it's Adam and Eve, and it says these were the first children of the God of the Son. So the God of the Son would be Adam and Eve. This would be Emmanuel, Father El, Jesus Christ, God with us, over his son Adam. Carl, any thoughts?
Yeah, well, what you mentioned were these guys just inherited or inhabiting something that was already built. I think perhaps the Atlanteans came, when they came through that area, they did the cliff dwellings and built these structures, what would they call the pueblos, and then when they were pushed out and destroyed, then they were re-inhabited by what we call the Zunis, the Hopis, and the Native Americans of the area.
And that, bro, that's a very spot on analogy, because earlier in some of our shows in this book, Churchward alludes to the same thing in Peru and Mexico, and he tells you the original gods that were there were white. And here he's speaking of, he says that they had traditions, in other words, stories passed down from father to son of the first man. But this is I don't think Churchward understood this. I think he I think if you look at this, the first man, it's the first time Adam, the son of God, was put into human form, or congealed light into these flesh bodies. And these stories of Adam and Eve, like we said, they had the same exact story. How? Because these were the original stories that maybe these people carried with them. Remember, Adam was in human form when he was on the island of Unal, and God sent Thoth to take him and his children out, and they spread out from there to Egypt. Now, I believe, since, in my opinion, since the world was Adam's land, the entire world, not one place, but the entire region of the earth, or excuse me, misspoke, the entire earth was Adam's. I believe that when this place went, that when his civilization was done, there were survivors, as Church Ward is telling you, and they moved into these lands, and they knew of these stories of Adam and Eve because when they left, when Adam was thrown onto the island of Unal, the first command God gave Thoth was take your records, in other words, and take your sacred writings and your technology and go get my sons, his son Adam and their offspring, who were in the rock caves. So these writings, like you spot on said this from the books of the hidden books of Moses, that these writings were a genealogical record of the children of God on the earth. And
Essentially what we call the book of life or the Lamb's book of life in church.
yes, and the Bible is an extension of that, Genesis 5:1, and this is the book of the genealogy or the genetics of Adam, who Luke 3:38, Adam was the son of God.
Yes, sir.
Carl, any thoughts on that, Carl?
No, that's it. That's what I say. You got all this genealogy, it goes back to Adam, and then when it gets to Adam, it doesn't say Adam was patty caked out of mud and created. He was the son of God, begotten of God.
That's right. That's right, bro. Great point. Great point. All right, so you want to continue here, and then I'll just jump to the next one?
Yes, sir. Let's see. The Hopi Indians hold that man and woman are the children of God, the great God who rules the sun. Therefore, they are not the offspring of nature. A further roll the slide.
Hold on, you know what? Let me I have this slide in here. I'm sorry to interrupt you, my brother. I have this slide in here. This was from a previous show, but they are speaking. Let me back up again, not to be redundant, but we're gonna beat this point. I mean, it's until people get tired of hearing it, until it sinks into their heads. It says the Hopi Indians hold that man and woman, this is a mistranslation. The Hopi Indians hold that Adam and Eve were the children of God. So here they're playing the man and woman hoax trick on you, the inserted word to draw a false correlation to the lesser men, but these were the sons of God, making them gods. So the Hopi Indians hold that Adam and Eve were the children of Emmanuel. They were Els, the great God who rules the sun, or children of the sun, Adam and his children. Therefore, they are not the offspring of nature. The whole evolution theory is a hoax, and Church Ward's exposing that. He's telling you that they didn't come from monkeys. These were already developed, highly developed God beings of light energy. And what did these gods look like? Just like from the questions or the mysteries of John, what color was Adam? So, Carl, if you want to start it, go ahead and read this slide, because this hidden text is going to tell you what the god Adam or Zeus or Anu, what he looked like. Or have at it, bro.
But I said to the cherub, my Lord, how did the devil enter paradise and deceive Adam? Had this arrangement not been from God, he would not have been able to enter. Nothing happens without God. The cherub said to me, there are 24 angels appointed to paradise every day. 12 enter daily in worship God. But at the time when the devil entered paradise and deceived Adam, there were no angels in paradise. But there was an agreement until Adam ate from the tree. I said to him, if this was ordained by God, then Adam did not sin. He said, indeed, if Adam had been a little patient and followed God's commandments, then God would have said to him, eat from the tree of life. God took away the light that clothed him and threw him out of paradise so that those things he said would be fulfilled and his light sent to the world. I said to him, my Lord, what is the light that clothed him, which was taken from him? He said to me, on the day when God begat Adam, he was 12 cubits tall and 6 cubits broad and 3 cubits thick, being like an alabaster, and alabaster, white, being like an alabaster stone with no blemish. But when he ate from the tree, his body shrunk and he became small. The light that clothed him was lost, except that on his fingers and toes, which were his nails, was he not cold in winter and not exhausted in the summer? I said to him, oh, my Lord, what is the sign of the children of Adam? The cherub said to me, at the time when the frost will come upon the earth, It is the nails of Adamic man that will first become cold on his body. For at the time when God stripped Adam of his light that clothed him, his nails were that it was his nails that first became cold. He cried unto the Lord, Woe unto me, my Lord, at the time when I kept God's commandments. Before I ate from the tree, my entire body was white like my nail. And bro,
Wow.
you could look at those nails. I'm looking at right now. They're like I say, an alabaster stone. And that was the way the entire body looked at the time before the fall.
Wow. Wow, Carl. So according to these texts, which align perfectly with the Ethiopic text, Adam, Adam right here, said that he had this light. He was clothed in light. And here he's John is asking the cherub, well, then Adam didn't sin. He said, yes, he did sin. So it says, Adam ate from the tree. I said to him, this was ordained by God, then Adam did not sin. He said, indeed, if Adam had been a little patient and followed God's commandments, then God would have said to him, eat from the tree of life. God took away the light that clothed him, threw him out of paradise, so that those things he had said would be fulfilled and his light would be sent into the world. Carl, this is huge. What he's saying here aligns with the another hidden text known as the Revelation of the Magi that was locked away for thousands of years in the Vatican Library. Maybe that's an over exaggeration. I don't know exactly how long it was locked away, but I know for a long time it was recently brought out for public view. And he's telling you that God allowed Adam because he's Alpha and Omega. He knew this was going to happen. But remember, in those texts, he says that his sons didn't know who their father was. In other words, and no one knew who God was. So, in order for our Father, for His light to be sent into the world, He allowed His Son to sin. He took His light away, okay, because he didn't follow what God said, and it said it was taken away from him. But he said he had said he would be fulfilled, and his light, who's the light sent into the world? Emmanuel, God with us, the Father of all. Remember, the books of Adam and Eve said, "Oh, Adam, I will for you." He goes, "I brought thee out of the light, and I willed for you to bring out children of light like unto thee. But you could not wait one day until my creation was done before you transgressed my command." And that's what he did. And our Father knew it was going to happen and used this as an opportunity for his light to be sent into the world. In other words, to take the reins of this earth away from the fallen angel, Satan, and to retake it and give it back to his son. Carl, any thoughts? That's bombshell.
It is bombshell. And it goes back. This is the state that Adam was in. He was reduced to a normal sized being, and we at church we learned that he covered his junk with fig leaves, and then God prepared some skins to put over him. But he was reduced to a normal sized human, and the skins were the flesh. He was placed in his flesh body with
Right.
that. The only reminder that he was at one time what he was is the whites of his nails and toes on the nail beds.
Bro, spot on analogy, bro. Right on the money. And Carl and I are not making this up. This is not our opinion. We're getting this from the text that Carl and I have been studying for a long time. And this text right here that was rejected, Council of Rome, Council of Nicaea, Council of Trent, you're not allowed to see this because it tells you right here, I ate from the tree. My entire body was white like my nail. They do not want you to know that the white race on the earth are the literal offspring of God. We are the sons of God. God's El Ra is. Those are three incomplete words. El being Emmanuel, Ra, the Son, Sonsun, the Son of God, Luke 3:38, and Is meaning light, God's Son or sons of light. Carl, anything you'd like to add to that, my brother?
Yeah, we like these texts, like you said, not allowed. They kept out all of this stuff found in the same pile. But some certain people get together and look, and they realize they're going to lose every bit of power they have to manipulate our actions, our finances, our emotions, if they let all of this in the Bible. So they carefully crafted and put together a book that would not be a threat to them, while leaving out the actual meat of the message that was sent to us by God our Father, a letter to his sons.
Beautiful, bro. Spot on, man. No doubt. And Carl and I had a conversation about an hour ago. We were speaking of why hide who we are, why, and we both came up with some very interesting thoughts. Remember, Carl, we were talking about human resources and being and ascending back to the heavens, and what we said is that if you look at everything that's going on now, in the world, the Trump shooting and this and that and the left and the right. And Carl and I said, if you look at the 60,000-foot view, and I don't like to bring politics into it, but we're just going to touch on this briefly because it all correlates. But if you look at politics as a whole, and you take the 60,000-foot view and you look at both sides, it's like I asked Carl, I said, and Carl agreed with me. I said, if you look at the reaction of the left and the right in a dualistic duopoly world that we live in, Ford, Chevy, Coke, Pepsi, up, down, and so on and so forth. You have these two different groups. You have the left and you have the right. And our father said that was going to happen. He said in the end that he would divide the sheep from the goats, right? The goats being the sons of Baphomet, the goat god. And Carl and I both agreed. I kind of posed the question to him. I said, Carl, would you agree with me? And I had this conversation with someone at the dentist office recently. And I said, Carl, would you agree that the left is like a death cult and they hate themselves, blah, blah, blah. And Carl said, yes. And I said, well, in a dualistic system, wouldn't that mean that the right would be a cult as well? So you see what I'm saying? And Carl agreed with me. And not that validates it because he agreed with me but if you look at it from a higher view, you look that both parties are being, it's almost like herded as sheep into different camps. And we're being steered towards a hate-filled bloodlust or a conflict between the two parties. So you look at, like Trump worship, and I don't, if people want to vote for Trump, that's great. I'm not downing the guy or saying, yay or nay about him. But if you look at what's going on, the people that follow him, it's almost like cult level, because I would say in both parties you have, and Carl, you tell me if you agree, both parties have talking heads.
Yes, sir.
You have the talking heads on the left, Trump's a Nazi and the white supremacist and they're, oh my God, Nazi Germany, blah, blah, blah. And then you have the talking heads on the right, the Alex Jones, the Tucker Carlsons, blah, blah, blah. And they're pointing out, obviously, yes, the left is a death cult. They're wanting to hurt kids and do all these evil things. Yes, I'm not on the left. I'm not saying I'm on their side. If there's a left, center, and right, I'm like 100 miles right of right. So just to put that out there, but I'm just analyzing the current data that I'm seeing from the emotional output of both of these different groups. Trump gets supposedly shot in the ear, and then you go to the Republican National Convention, and people are wearing the same bandage on their ear. It's almost cult level, in my opinion, when I see that. So you see the talking heads are driving these two different camps, left or right, like Jesus said, they'd be split in two. And if they had killed Trump, if that was their goal, then what would that would have produced an emotional outpour. And it's like we're being prodded into a violent conflict or a civil war, a classic divide and conquer strategy with 21st century modern day propaganda, mind control, Operation Mockingbird, whatever you want to call it. And back to our conversation, and Carl, I'm going somewhere with this long-winded rant, but back to our conversation, we were saying that the human race, the Amun race, which is just a word scramble for the children of Adam, they are the sons of light. And we're put here amongst these other children, the tares of the field that are devoid of that light. They've been cut off. And with all the stuff that they were pushing a couple years ago, to cut that light off. And Carl and I said, well, are they trying to keep us from ascending back to source, the source of light? And would that, in other words, would that would that keep us from ascending? And if so, and they want to keep us here, why would they want to keep the sons of light here? Are we a food source? As Carl, you brought that, to my attention. I was like, yeah, wow, that's a great understanding. And Carl and I put together this short little video, with this Captain Kirk and Star Trek 57 years ago. They're telling you, yeah, I think it was called Day of the Dove. They're telling you in this Star Trek, Star Trek series or episode that these two different factions were being forced to fight. And on board the Enterprise, there was a red dragon orb looking disembodied spirit or presence of this. They called him an alien, but I would say red dragon devil. And you had an emotional outburst from one of the crew members and tried to attack Captain Kirk. Spock knocked him out, blah, blah, blah. And Spock tells him something very interesting. He said that when he responded with violence, that this demon grew stronger. In other words, these devils feed off of the energy, our emotional energy, off the sons of light, off of negative emotion, hate, jealousy, bloodlust, pursuit of power, you name it, whatever evil sin there is, these demons feed off that. And Carl and I came to the same agreement. Is that why they call us, or like when you go into the work field, is that why they call it a human resource, or in other words, a human food source? Carl, any thoughts?
Yes, sir. I firmly believe that our people are used as a physical food, our blood and our flesh, for a certain faction on the planet. And as they increase the stress on us, as our soul is in agony, that's a spiritual food source for them. They grow stronger the more of us are in spiritual agony and in distress.
Right, I would agree. You have any other thoughts you'd like to add to that?
No, other than it's I wish that our people could get together and stand against this, being used as physical food by these yahoos, and also seek that peace from the Father, so that we don't strengthen them with their negative energy either. That's our problem. We get scared. That's why Jesus said, "Fear not." He wasn't a suggestion. He said, "Fear not." Why? Because the fearful will not inherit the kingdom, and they're numbered with murderers, idolaters, and a whole bunch of other people that will not. And there's a reason for that. It just sounds kind of harsh coming from Jesus, but it's because our fear keeps us from actually realizing the power we have on this planet. We shy away from our actual mission, I think.
Well, and to add to that, bro, if you listen, this was also in our conversation, just came to mind. If you listen to both sides, and to me, what's that old saying, two different faces on the same coin?
Yes,
I
sir.
might be butchering that, but that's what it means. But if you listen to both sides, they always say something very key. I listen to Trump's son. I listen to Pence, when he ran with Trump years ago, and I listened to Brandon when he speaks, the Walking Dead Husk, and they all say the same exact thing. They say we are fighting for the very soul of America. And Carl and I we were like, well, are they talking about a political direction of the country? Does America itself, the landmass, have a physical soul? No. Are they, is there an esoteric meaning there? Yeah, I believe so. I think what they're telling you, and both sides are saying this, that they're fighting for your soul. In other words, not to ascend back to the heavens. So these disembodied demons that dwell on the earth, these apparitions that are stuck here in the holodeck matrix known as the earth matrix, they have a continued food source of the sons of light to feed off of. And they're openly telling you and hiding it in plain sight that we're fighting for your soul. We want you here. And we do not, since we cannot ascend, their mission is to destroy as many of God's sons as they can. How do they do that? How do you not ascend? Could it be like what Steiner said, that they wanted to medicate your soul out of your body through vaccinations? Maybe. Could it be a combination of the both, as far as you die in your sin outside of God's law, and while you're being tested, if your life is cut short, you haven't repented of that sin, you're constantly being recycled back into this earth over and over again. And And to bring back the Star Trek metaphor, Captain Kirk says something very interesting. This came to mind. He told what was his name? The black-faced Klingon. He told him his name was Kang. Notice it's Kang, King, like we was Kangs. That's another little slick thing they put in there. He tells him in the heart and the head, I won't stay dead. And classic Shatner overacting. But what he's telling him there, he says, if you wound me in my heart or in my head, I won't stay dead. I'll keep coming back and I'll do the same to you. Is he telling you that if I die in my sin, I keep getting recycled and come back in this perpetual cycle of murder, destruction, violence, which these devils feed off of? Since a lot of them are disembodied spirits. Are there embodied spirits here on the earth? Yes, there's a lot of tares amongst us. But I think in that context, in that little metaphor, Kirk was saying that if you kill me, whether a heart wound or head wound, I'm going to keep coming back in this human form or through the halls of a Menti and be recycled over and over as a human resource or human food source or Adamic Amun food source. Carl, any thoughts?
Yes, sir. And just to back that up, reincarnation, which the church has preached, no, it is appointed unto man once to die and then the judgment. But the whole concept of reincarnation missed out by one vote in one of the councils. I got to do my research. I can't remember which council it was, but missed it by one vote.
I think it was Nicaea. I could be
Okay.
wrong, but but you're spot on. That's exactly what it said. No doubt. But we just wanted to, little food for thought there and throw that out. So, Carl, having said that, let's you have any last thoughts on that little long-winded rant from both
No,
of us?
so we can roll on down the line if you
All
want
right, my
to.
brother. Okay, let's do it. Let's go to the next one. All right, so I'm going to minimize the mugs again here, bro. So let's go ahead, Carl. Have at it.
Okay.
You want me to
All
back
right.
up again to the original slide so we get some context?
Yeah, because I've got to break in the sentence there. And
Okay.
okay. Corroboration of this lies in the esoteric meaning of man and woman. Their names are composed of vocables of the mother tongue, and like all ancient religious writings, have a hidden meaning. For instance, there's that name again. Ahainta is composed of the motherland words of Ahainta, and Matsalema is composed of Ma, Sa, Te, Ma. Conjoined, they read God. Oh, look at this. Conjoined, they read God created the first man and the first woman to occupy the earth.
Bingo. Bang.
The,
Oh my goodness.
the first Adamite man and woman to occupy the earth. These first children of God were the parents of all, and it's got man, there's the man trick, but all mankind, but all Adam kind,
Exactly.
humankind, Amun kind.
And we know what Adam looks like. We just read it.
Yes, sir. The language of the Pueblo Indians contains many words of the mother tongue, as I have pointed out, and many others find their roots in the same source. Another legend reads as follows. Their forefathers came to America in their ships from across the sea in the direction of the setting sun. Thus, it was shown that they came to America from the west in ships, not over the much abused and much imposed upon Bering Land Bridge. Yeah, that's what they teach in school. When the Pueblos first came to America, they were in a very highly civilized state, which is corroborated by their wonderful knowledge of geology, their cultivated language, and their use of sacred symbols of the motherland. A peculiar coincidence I discovered among the Pueblo Indians was this. They had 7 sacred cities of Cibola. This is the pure copy of the motherland and custom that prevailed among their colonial empires. For instance, the motherland had 7 sacred cities of religion and the sciences. Atlantis had the same, and India had her 7 rishi or sacred cities. Lieutenant Cushing lived among the Hopi Indians for a long time while he translated what has been called the Zuni myths. I've actually got a book from that guy, which were myths only because the people in whose hands they have passed have failed to understand them. These Pueblo traditions have been handed down orally from father to son for thousands of years, but a tradition is actual history, not myth. I will take some extracts from Lieutenant Cushing's translation, which added to my own personal knowledge of the Pueblos, making interesting reading. For example, a Zuni tradition says, once the earth was covered with water, no land appeared anywhere. Is this a myth? Not at all, for it has been corroborated by sacred writings of the motherland and by geology. Another Zuni tradition says, just before man appeared upon the earth, the ground was so soft and watery, man could not have walked upon it. His feet would sink into the ground. Therefore, he could not live upon it. A description of what sort of footwear a man must have to enable him to pass over the soft, watery ground without sinking into it is very amusing. Although geological works do not mention this kind of ground as having been in the world at any time, yet that such was the case is clearly shown by the shape and character of the feet of early tertiary animals, who had long spreading toes like the feet of our present-day wading birds, who frequented the muddy shores of rivers, ponds, and lakes. Another so-called Zuni myth, the ancient Zunis, thousands upon thousands of years ago, had a perfect knowledge of the great reptilian monstrosities that frequented.
Carl, let's pause here for a second, give a little thought here.
Okay.
Do you have any thoughts on this? Because a couple things stood out to me on this. I mean, any thoughts, Carl? On
Well,
page 189?
okay. The seven sacred cities. You know, again, I go back to the Spaniards when they came to the what we call the New World. They were looking for the seven cities of gold. That seven cities plays into almost every narrative in history. And the seven hills of Rome, seven cities of gold, and these cities are sacred cities. So I'm thinking the Spaniards were not necessarily looking for physical gold; they were looking for the knowledge contained in these sacred cities.
Bro, that is why you are the Kryptonian that came to the earth in a spaceship known as Kal-El. Bro, what you just said is spot on, dude. If you go, that stood out to me as well. If you go back to Atlantis when they left, when Thoth was commanded by Emmanuel, go get my sons and go get the sacred writings. Those writings are called the seven sacred writings, or the book of life of the sons of the Most High God, also known as the seven sacred sciences as well,
Okay.
or technologies. So that number seven, which is also 777, is our Father, if I'm not mistaken, the Creator's sacred number. But bro, spot on. And another thing that stood out to me is where he says right here, he talks about about the West. He says that the Pueblo is very high. Okay, shown coming to. Okay, thus it is shown that the people who escaped the destruction, they came to America, sons of Adam, or also the lesser men, from the West in ships, not over the much abused and much posed upon the Bering Land Bridge. That hoax right there. If you look at what he's saying the West, let's go back to the Wendover people that they found here in our home state, Florida. If you notice, and we missed this last time in the last show we did, the bodies that they found, I think it was like 168 of them. They were the skeletal remains that they found. All of them, their heads were facing the west, but their faces were facing north. That's symbolic of they were the sons of Adam, because it's proven that they were all Caucasian. They were
Yes.
whites, the sons of Adam. And the reason that their heads that were pointed towards the west is symbolic of where they came from, the land of Muta, and the faces facing the north symbolize that the fact that they were born from above, like in the books of Thoth, and the sons of light came down to the earth and made bodies for themselves like the other men, but unlike the men. In other words, like Jesus told Nicodemus, you have to be born from above, not again, but from above. That's
Yes, sir.
exactly what that symbolic meaning is about those white race Adamites and their skeletal remains when they found that in Florida. Carl, any thoughts on that, my brother?
I think we can move it on, brother. That's pretty good.
All right, my brother. Let me minimize this. So where you at on 190 right here? Another so-called
Ye-
Zuni myth.
Yes, sir. I stopped at the reptilian monstrosity that frequented. I'm guessing that would be the
Okay.
dinosaurs, but
All right, go ahead.
okay, and I've got my mug right in the way here. I'll move it. That roamed the earth from the Carboniferous age down to the end of the Cretaceous period. These traditions say they were monsters and animals of prey. They were provided with claws and terrible teeth. A mountain lion is but a mole in comparison to them. Then those above said to the animals, Ye shall all be changed into stone, that ye be not evil to men, fossilized dinosaur, but that ye may be a great good to them. Thus have we changed ye into everlasting stone. Thus the surface of the earth hardened, and many of all sorts of beasts turned into stone. Thus too it happened that we find them throughout the world. Their forms are sometimes large in shape like themselves. Sometimes they are shriveled and distorted out of shape, and we often see among the rocks many beasts that no longer live, which show us that all was different in the days of the new. I think Cushing hardly caught the exact translation in the words I have italicized. My changes, however, in no way alter the meaning. The foregoing have been passed along as another Zuni myth, yet in order to prove that this is not a myth, one has only to stroll through one of the museums in order to see on every side the truth of Zuni tradition. Go to the Museum of Natural History in New York and look at the fossil and created trachodont, or visit the United States National Museum at Washington and gaze at the complete and perfect skeleton of the Jurassic dinosaur, Stegosaurus, crushed and flattened. There may be readers who will say that these have nothing to do with the Pueblos and they do not prove. Move this over. Okay. We have to go to the next slide.
All right, Carl, before we move on, you want to give me some thoughts on that? There's a lot to unpack in that one.
Uh,
Anything
yeah,
stand out to
yes,
you on
sir.
that?
And I don't know if you've seen these islands and these clumps of rocks that look like giant elephants, giant snakes.
Bingo.
I mean, all
Exactly.
the yes, sir. That's what. And what did it say? That they were going to turn them into stone, so they wouldn't terrorize man and would be a benefit to man. So what happened when these things melted down? They turned into oil, petroleum.
Bro, that's an incredible. I mean, bro, we're toned into the same frequency, no doubt. Because I'm looking at this right here and just adding to what you're saying. It said, notice this right here says, then those above, Nicodemus, you have to be born from above.
Yes,
So
sir.
there's a group of gods above. Is he talking about Adam, Zeus, and the sons of the very son of God? I believe, yes, that's what he's talking about. That this Satan character, when he was here and he took the earth at first, like in the book of Giants allude to, that they did all types of unnatural acts on creation, and they created all types of disgusting beasts all over the earth. And they said that they mixed their DNA, figure that out how they did that, but it said unnatural acts, and they created all type of abominations before the eyes of the Most High. And here the sons of God are saying, then those, the sons of God above, said to these animals, ye shall all be changed into stone, that ye shall not be evil to the sons of Adam, but that ye shall be great good to them. So could these be the very mountains that he's speaking of here, Carl? This is this is right in line with what you said in the past about Lot and his wife. Do not look back, or I will change you into a pillar of salt or into stone.
Yes,
Any
sir.
any thoughts on that, Carl?
Uh, I'm just looking at this and just thinking of all the times that I've been shown, like I say, a snake like 3 football fields long, and these creatures would have definitely been a clear and present danger to any of us living on the planet at the time. And through by the grace of those above who turned them into stone, they turned them into stone, and now we're allowed to exist on the earth without having to deal with this type of creature.
And you and I have touched on in the last show through Plato's writings that these so-called, like he said, that we annihilated the giants. This is exactly, bro, this confirms with what Church Ward is saying here in these
Yes.
ancient writings here, that those above, the traditions say that those above God's sons of light, Anu, the Anunnaki, Atum, Anum, Adam, that they turned these beasts, these satanic beasts into rock. Bro, this is mind-blowing when you see this stuff here. Wow.
Yes.
Any thoughts on that, Carl, before we move on?
Nope. I think pretty much we beat that one for a while. Yeah, let's move on.
Well, here, real quick, here's an illustration right here in the Havasupai Canyon, Arizona, of the Tyrannosaurus Rex that goes back thousands of years, about these great reptiles that were destroyed by, as Plato said, by the sons of God. So having said that, let me minimize this here. All right, and let's go to the next one. This should be the last one, Carl.
Okay.
You want to
And
take
we're
it?
taking off from the last slide, Pueblos, that the tradition is not a myth. For the benefit of such doubters, let us consider the Havasupai Canyon in Arizona. There, drawn and carved on a rock, is a picture of the most terrible carnivorous dinosaur that ever existed on the earth, the gruesome Tyrannosaurus of the late Cretaceous period. This picture was probably drawn more than 12,000 years ago. It is only within the last 100 years that this form of reptile was known to our scientists. Cuvier found a part of a skeleton and out of it made a reproduction, a great lizard walking on all four legs. I think I'm correct in saying that it is actually only within the last 50 years that the true form of the Tyrannosaurus became known, although it had been faithfully depicted in rock drawings by ancient man thousands of years ago. The Zunis also have various traditions about the flood. I quote herewith the tradition about the catastrophe as published by G.W. James. In the long, long ago, the Zunis were very wicked, and in spite of the continued warnings of those above, they persisted in their evil doings until the shadow people determined to destroy them from the face of the earth. Accordingly, the two great water sources of the world were opened, the reservoir of the above from which all rains descend, and the reservoir of below from which all springs, creeks, and rivers receive their flow. The very plugs were withdrawn, and the rain poured down, and the floods arose until the Zunis knew the wrath of the gods was falling upon them. Hastily, they fled to the summit of Tayo al-Alain, the Thunder Mountain, and where the younger ones of the wicked and profane laughed.
Wow. Wow. Any thoughts on this, Carl? What comes to mind, my brother?
Uh, Another telling in a different way from a different culture of the flood of Noah, where the fountains of the deep were broken up and the rains come down. Well, that was called rains in the King James, but apparently it was just a continuous flow of water until the land was flooded.
When I think this correlates with exactly what Plato said, like we did in our last show. He said that they destroyed the giants. Is he telling you here? Is Church Ward saying? Is he alluding to that this is the story of Plato here? That those above, and he tells you the gods, he's telling you, in the long, long ago, the Zunis were very wicked, in spite of the continued warnings. Those above, they persisted in their evil doings until the shadow people. Carl, what color is a shadow?
Let me think. Black,
Exactly. The
black.
sh the shadow people determined to destroy the sons of Adam from the face of the earth accordingly. The two great water sources. So this is another telling of the flood. The reservoir from above, the Bible says the same exact thing.
Yes.
Which rains descended, and the reservoir from below, the springs, creeks, and rivers received their flow. So wow, Carl, if you notice, this flood story. Now I don't know. I don't know if this is a worldwide flood or like Swift said, or rats, all that place, all that country. But there were a group of these giant monsters, not only in maybe human form, but also these reptilian monstrosities, I think created from the direction of Satan. And these gods from above wiped their asses out. And that's what he's telling you here. Any thoughts?
Yeah, and I believe that the what we call the Zunis today have just co-opted the identity of our people from before. They're not anywhere near the original Zunis.
Oh, no, bro, no doubt. Replacement migration is nothing new. This has been going on for thousands of years, also alluded to in Churchward's book here,
Yes, sir.
all the way back. So, having said that, I think we can move on to the next one, bro. I don't see any other thing here. All right. I just threw this in there. We're going to play word scramble again. And if you notice from that, like we said this before, if you notice when all the way from Egypt, from when Atlantis first went down, the very first place that Adam and his sons went to, they went into the land of Egypt. And magically along the way, they've been finding these texts all over, just like the migrational pattern of the sons of light from Atlantis and the land of Mu. Magically, they find these texts. So this kind of rang out to me, the Nag Hammadi, meaning of the Nag Hammadi. Oh my God, hold on, let me back up a little bit here, bro. Messed up. The meaning of the Nag Hammadi, if you look at this, that you get rid of the Nag, it's Ham Mahdi. So you take the AM from that, and then the A and the D, and these are the esoteric meaning of the Nag Hammadi, or the books of Adam. So, Cora, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I'm watching you do this word scramble thing and thinking, it works because the ancient language roll forward to today as those languages morph. English of today is the what Paleo Hebrew and the ancient
Reversed.
languages before.
That's right, reversed,
So
exactly.
that's why it works. That's why this stuff works. And you're right. They've taken these words, reversed them, and thrown them right into our face. And you cracked the code on this, brother. I mean, I've learned a lot. I find myself trying to dig in and break these words apart all the time myself now.
Well, bro, like I said, we learn together, and I've noticed that other people are starting to catch on to it. Like I said, you and I will never get credit for it, and we're not in it for the
Yeah.
credit. But but we've noticed, and I'll give a shout out to Mr. History. He put a video out today, and and I'm not saying this in arrogance, but please don't take it this way. But you and I both came to the same conclusion. Like, yeah, no doubt that dude has watched some of our material.
Hmm.
Because I've never seen anyone break this down like you and I, and I'm not saying that in arrogance. I'm proud of the work and the time that we've put into it. And I thank Jesus in the heavens for even showing us this. I'm honored. But I've noticed, like I'm sure you have, there are people that are doing this as well. So that's good. I mean, that's what we want. We want
And if
people
the message gets out, it doesn't matter who the messenger is.
exactly. And we want our people to wake up before they're destroyed in their sin. So that's a beautiful thing. All right, bro. So let's go to the next one. Hold on, Carl. Let me minimize this here. Okay. If Carl, I'll take this one, bro. If you notice, they talk about the Mayan civilization, and I threw this in there as well. And they talk about Church War talks about an individual called Prince Maya. So this is also from his book. It says, "Now I shall try to fix an approximate date of the Naga colony in India before it became a colonial empire. One very prominent figure in the Naga or Maya Empire in India was Prince Maya. The time of Prince Maya is doubtful, although I've come across many records about him. Not a single one even estimates the date when he lived. But according to traditions, and these traditions are as plentiful as leaves on a tree, Prince Maya lived 15 to 20,000 years ago. In Ramayana, we find the reference to him. In olden times, there was a prince of the Nagas whose name was Maya. Prince Maya was the author of the Surya Siddhanta, the most ancient astronomy in India. It has been variously estimated at 10,000 to 22,000 years. Carl, any thoughts on this when you see this?
Well, yeah, we've got Maya set up in India, and obviously these folks migrated because we've got the what called the Mayan Empire in South America. Well, actually, just below our border, and I've been in Mayan lands. They currently go from the Yucatan down into Guatemala that I'm aware of, and I've actually been among what these people are calling themselves the Mayans today. I've actually went and spent some time with them treasure hunting years and years ago.
And as Church Ward alluded to, well, he just, to me, he said it outright. He didn't allude to it. He just said it point blank. He said the original Mayas were a white race. And when they were, he said they were driven out by a darker race. So the ones that are there today are this darker race that came from the direction of Satan. There's no doubt in my mind. And if you notice this Prince Maya, like we said before, it's another wordplay to hide it from you. It's I am. It's from right to left, it's I am. Or if you get rid of the Y and add a D, it's Adam, Prince Adam, or Baal Hadad, Lord Adam. But if you look at this, Carl, he's telling you he lived 15 to 20,000 years ago. And then they have this book here, the Ramayana. So, and they say, oh, these are our texts. No, these were written by the Aryans, the sons of Seth, who were also a white race, as we've said 100 times, and also verified in other texts. So, Cora, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just amazing that everywhere we were in the highest levels, it just takes a couple of the other ones coming into our society and into our civilization to make us fall.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. So, let's go here. We're gonna break down Prince Maya. Like I just said, you get rid of the Y and add a D, and it's Mada. Read right to left. It's Adam, and the land of Mu, known as Ramu, Ramuta equals Atumra, the son, Sunson, Adam, the son of God. So if we go back here and we look at these sacred writings that Church Ward is bringing to your attention, you get rid of that R, and here we have A-M-A, Ama, or I am right here, A-Y-A-M, the books or the region of I am. We find reference to Adam in olden times, was the prince of the Nagas. I'm not going to say that these Nagas, I haven't been able to pin down, but I know that these are not who others think they are. This is definitely, now was this Adam ruling over this group right here? As we said in the past, Carl, remember the last show we spoke of, why did Adam have pity on these multi-armed creatures with two faces? And he
Yes.
came up with a plan rather than destroy them. He said he was going to split them in two, which would increase their numbers. And you and I, we did some research on that, and I think we came up with something astounding. These, according to Plato, that there were three different sexes on the earth, and he's telling you that there was man, woman, and that there was a being with two, a round neck, two faces, two sets, like four arms, four legs. When they wanted to move, here to there, they could they like roll up in a ball or something and run on all four legs. I can't even picture. It sounds like some kind of alien movie. And it said that these beasts were stronger than all the other men. And if you go into the Indian writings and their gods, you notice that they have these blue looking gods with multi arms, multi legs, and they, cutting heads off. And I believe that Adam had pity on these beings because this was Adam's sin. And like we had said in our private conversation, that these beings, these, these androgynous creatures that were mightier and strong, the men of renown, these were the Nephilim that Adam in his sin created. And I can't say that conclusively, but according to Plato's writings and attaching this puzzle of all these different texts, they all correlate, and no one can give an understanding of these multi-armed demons that are over in India, and magically Plato puts something out there, and he's telling you that these multi-armed creatures, that Adam took pity on them. And Carl, you know, that was one of your questions. You said, why? Why did he have pity on them? And I think this was him laying with Lilith, this, or maybe Satan himself, as the Ethiopic texts say, that this being that can turn, you know, he's androgynous, and they produce this half fallen angel, half God. And I think that's why Adam either took pity on them or he was trying to correct a mistake before his fall, in my opinion. Carl, what say you?
But his history has shown that our people, that to our detriment, always seem to have pity on, whether it's the children of Cain, the Edomites, or whatever. When we're told, even by the Most High, to go into a place and completely wipe out the bloodline, we have pity, and essentially we're second guessing what God has told us to do, and it's always to our detriment.
No doubt, bro. No doubt. And I mean, could it be pity, or was he trying to correct his, when, you know, supposedly
Now,
he ate this apple and he knew he was naked. That's all kindergarten metaphor for before he took on, God
yes,
put him in a flesh body.
and that is a good question: pity or correcting a mistake. And either way, in correction of a mistake, he multiplied their numbers, and we're still dealing with them.
And no, and if you, bro, that's a brilliant analogy, bro. But if you, to add on to what you're saying, to me, I think he was trying to correct his mistake. I think him eating of the supposed tree of good and evil was that he mixed his Adamic light God DNA with this fallen angel, this, you know, the five I wills, I will be like the Most High, trying to become God through the act of sexual procreation, trying to create or up his DNA to be as God. He couldn't do it through God, so he did it through his son, first through Eve, then through Adam, and created these two different classes that came from her and came from him. And I think he was trying to correct that mistake, and his father was like, negative, not happening. And he took the empire from him, and Adam fell. And like you said, we're still to this day dealing with the sons of Cain that were these multi-head, multi-armed demons. Carl, what say you?
And look how long this has been going on. Prince Maya lived 15,000 to 20,000 years ago. This has been a long running battle, my friend.
No doubt, bro. But you know, if you look at this Siddhanta, if the name Adam is in this as well. His fingerprints are all over everything. So obviously he was in this region as well. And if you looked at all over the earth, you have these megalithic sites where I believe in his pyramid ship, Adam would go to different places all over the earth. And that's also in Egyptian mythology. They talk about, you know, the god Atum Ra coming from the heavens and you know, in different places. And magically, these stories are all over the earth. And here we have again, it's hidden right there in these texts. So any last thoughts, Carl, before we jump?
No, sir. That's
All right,
been
let's
interesting discussion for
go to the
sure.
next one, my brother. All right, let's see. All right, so we did that. All right, Carl, I'll let you take this one, my brother.
Who was the Greek god Ares? The god Ares and his children were known as the Aryans in god form. Upon Adam's fall, he and his children were taken back into the heavens, and Ares was sent back down to earth as Adam's son, known as Seth in the flesh. His sons were named Sethians or Scythians.
Well, and Carl and I came up with this little slide together here. And the reason that you see different spellings, pronunciations of the word Aries, because this has to do with astrology. And they talk about, oh, you know, this, you know, the season of Aries, or in other words, when Adam ruled the earth. And Carl, this is a little off topic, but if you notice, even in Egypt, everywhere you have a statue of our people when they ruled in God form, if you notice here, this statue right here of one of the Atlanteans, it seems as though his nose was chopped off of his face here, so you wouldn't notice that he was the son of light. And here it's glued back together. And they did the same exact thing. They defaced these statues to hide the sons of Adam. Carl, you have any thoughts on that?
I never thought of it. I wondered, why was somebody going around defacing statues? Like, like some kind of a low rent vandal, you know, but it's all over the world. And like you say, everywhere, the arms, the feet, and a lot of times the faces and the nose are chopped off.
Exactly, exactly. All right.
I,
So
I
any
never
last
knew
thought?
that. It never occurred to me that that's what that was for.
Yeah, it's to hide the identity of the sons of light. And if you notice, I think somewhere in Washington, and the viewers can do this, they can look up a statue that miraculously appeared out of thin air that nobody knows who put this statue in this park. I can't remember the name of the park, but the statue is called the Awakening. And in the Awakening, you have a you and to the unlearned, they'll tell you that's the devil. It's Baal or Baal. It's the devil. And when you read these ancient writings about how Adam was released, from the pits of hell, and when Jesus, when he died on the cross, it was for his sons. And we've found that in God Almighty, multiple texts now. He didn't come for the world, he came for his children that were in the world. But back to this statue, I want the viewers to go and look up that statue called the Awakening. And what they're showing you there, they're showing you the release of Zeus or Atum Ra from the pits. And that statue is identical to Baal Hadad. They'll call him Baal Haman, but it's Baal Hadad is the correct name of it. And it's Lord Adam. So I know that that's a little off topic, but a thought came to my head. I just wanted to throw that out there, little homework assignment if someone's interested in that. Carl, any last thoughts?
Yeah, and just so the listener knows, we've covered this before, but Baal is a title, not a proper name for someone. So Baal Hadad, Baal Chemosh, Baal Peor, all of that just means Lord. That's a title.
Yes, you have the title and the identifying name of
Yes,
who
sir.
that Lord is. Exactly, Carl. Brilliant, bro. Right on the money, buddy. Any final thoughts?
No, sir.
All right, so I'm going to take this one, Carl. This is the Dweller of Unal. I'm bringing back into this uh the Emerald Tablets. This is Thoth speaking. He says, Oft I dream of buried Atlantis, lost in the ages that have passed into night. Aeon and eon, thou existed in beauty, a light shining through the darkness of the night, mighty in power, ruling the earthborn. Here we have the ruling the earthborn, Adam and the sons of light. He's telling you that they ruled over them. Lord of the earth in Atlantis, or in Adam's land, king of the nations, masters of wisdom, light through Suntal. And I want the viewers to pay attention to this word, Suntal. No one knows what the hell that means. So they threw that in there for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. So light through Suntal, keeper of the way. Jesus says, I am the truth, the way, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. Dwelt in his temple, the master of Unal, light of the earth in Atlantis's day. Master, he from a cycle beyond us, living in bodies as one among men, not as the earthborn. He from beyond us, son of a cycle, advanced beyond men. Know ye, O man, that Horlet, another hidden word there with an esoteric meaning, the Horlet, the master, was never one with the children of men. Wow, Carl. Any first thoughts before we break this one down?
Oh, brother. Oh my goodness, man. King of the nations, Master. I'm looking at this. Uh, not. This goes back to. I hate to keep going back to the conversation between Nicodemus and Jesus. The part that the Judeo-Christians grab a hold of, the born again Christian versus born from above, born from beyond versus earthborn.
Right on.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. That always comes to mind when we hit on this. And I've had this conversation with a whole bunch of people over this past week. I said, look at what was said. Don't look at what you're told it says. Look at what this conversation was about. Ye must be born from above. But we sing this song in church about you must be born again. It's like a funeral dirge, and It's programming you to dumb you down from where you actually came from.
And that was done by, like you said, 100 times, the lying pen of the scribe. By
Yes.
changing one word, they changed the entire meaning of it. And what does that do? The perpetual question, the proverbial dog chasing his tail, always
Ne
asking the question.
Never getting an answer, but always asking the question.
Exactly. And that's what it was designed to do. Our Father is not the father of confusion. Why would he put that in there and not tell you? So for those of you out there, and you can believe what you want, like I said, Carl and I are not intellectual fascists. We are not going to cast you to hell. That's not our place. There are others out there, other charlatans that cast people to hell all the time. That's not us. That's up to the Most High Jesus himself. But these texts are telling you, the ones that people say, oh, have no meaning, and I don't need to look at any other book other than the Bible. Well, if that's your level of understanding and you're good with that, God bless you. And I mean no ill will towards you, but you will only have a certain understanding of what it actually means. And these texts do not verify the Bible, they expand upon the meaning of the Bible, which a lot of the meaning has been hidden from you on purpose to perpetuate that question, the dog chasing his tail constantly. Carl, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, a guy mentioned the other day, I talked to him from time to time that he doesn't like to use ancient text to force biblical truth. And I'm thinking that's the farthest from what it's doing. It's actually, like you said, not forcing, but reinforcing biblical truth, expanding upon the story, filling in the blanks, which I don't care what you say. I've heard people say, well, the Bible does not contradict itself and it's complete. No, no, sir. It is a lot of empty space, a lot of blanks that need to be filled in, and these ancient texts do that.
And we don't have an original Bible. Like we said before, the Bible was put together from ancient papyrus and off of stone. Uh, and
Yeah,
and if Go ahead, Carl. Sorry.
the version we have was bound together by somebody with books they picked and choose, whether it's the King James Version or the Catholic Bible. I mean, you can't say that's the complete Bible when they had other stuff to choose from and picked and chose what they were going to put in it.
Exactly, exactly. Well, we're gonna jump back in this. Got a little off topic there, but
Yes.
back into this. We're gonna explain the esoteric meanings of this, which actually confirm the story of the Bible, but at a deeper level. So, having said that, let's go to the next one. The word harlot. Okay, I'm gonna back up again. He's using this word. Where are you at? Master Huno. Oh man, that harlot, the master. Who's harlot? I've never seen that in any vernacular anywhere written in any text other than these books. And to me, this is a hidden esoteric meaning. And the meaning of harlot, if you look at it, it's another anagram scrambled. You reverse it, and the meaning is Thor, the god of light, the god of lightning, thunder, Adam, the son of Adam. Adam was commanded to live in a cave, the cave of treasures. So, what the Emerald Tablets is telling you, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, that the harlot, the master, he was never one of the children of men. In other words, like you just said, he was born from above the stardust, but made a body of the dust for himself. And God's El Ra Is, God's sons of light, saw men in their bondage. They came down to the earth and made bodies for themselves under the command of Emmanuel. The El is the light that dwells with them from our Father. So he's here, and they use these words right here, the son of a cycle. So this son they're speaking of is interchangeable with the sun. So the Adam and son of a time cycle, he was advanced beyond men. So in other words, he could come into the earth at any time from a higher dimension. Now, is that at the time that Adam was actually sent to the world was thousands of years ago, just like the ancient text we just read. It said that the god Maya, Prince Maya, ruled from 15,000 plus years. So here, the Emerald Tablets, if you break these words down, they're telling you who this son of that time cycle is. So let's go back to our unscrambling of these words. And you have the word right here. Let me scoot this over a little bit. You have this word suntal. So here we have this hidden word. What is a suntal? It's not a sundial. It's wow, this is weird. Well, it's another hidden anagram scrambled. Atun, Atum, Anum Ra, Adam's land, Atlantis, Adam. Sun tall. You have the sun equals the son, Adam, the son of God, Luke 3:38. Carl, any thoughts on this, my brother?
Yeah, just for the listener again to reinforce the man that they're talking about, not as men, is the old word Enosh or natural man, the sixth what we call the sixth yom or eon of creation, sixth day they call it in the Sunday schools. But yeah, there's definitely a distinction between men, as in natural man, and Adam kind or Adam man.
Well, you know, this to me is amazing here too, Carl. It was a great thought. Adding to what you're saying, bro, look at this part right here, my brother. It says, King of the nations, Lord of the earth, and Atlantis. We've been, Carl and people are starting to catch on. I know Mystery History has watched some of our videos, and we love his channel, and we ask the viewers, go check him out. Awesome channel, very enlightening. I always learn something when I watch his channel. It's called Mystery History. But back to this text right here tells you the Lord of the earth, Lord. So Baal, Lord means Baal, Baal Hadad of the earth. In Adam's land is Adam, Baal Hadad, king of the nations. So there was a new world order back in their times. The new world order was Adam, the son of God, and God gave Adam the scepter of power and put him on his throne, his holy throne, and put the crown of glory upon his head and gave the earth to his son Adam, because the earth was made for Adam and the sons of Adam. And Satan and his triple S people did not like, they were jealous of Adam, of all the wonderful things Emmanuel bestowed upon his son Adam, and they were jealous, and they've been at war with us ever since. Having said that, it tells you king of the nations, master of wisdom, light through sun tall. So another hidden word that this just means that he was the son, son El, son all, that God's son of light, Adam, keeper of the way. Okay, the narrow way that leads to the Father, dwelt in his temple. What does this mean? Is this he had many temples on the earth? If we're talking about stone temples or places of the earth, he's not talking about that. This temple he's speaking of was that the sons of God saw the earth, that the men were in their bondage, and they made bodies for themselves. Your temple is the body of the Most High. He put his sons of light in bodies. So this temple, and notice this says temple, but it's reversed El, temp El, house of the light of our Father God. So this is Adam in his temple in his flesh body, which was which he was. What did it say? A certain cubits tall, which is like 18 feet tall. Some say 120, but he was the master of Unal, light of the earth in Atlantis's day. Carl, any thoughts?
Yeah, and back to king of the nations. What that means to me was king of all the races on the planet.
That's right.
Adam was placed here to rule and to administer over all of these folks.
And we're going to reiterate that over and over again. Atlantis was not one single place. Adam's land was the entire earth. Earth was made for Adam. It's confirmed in all these hidden texts. They hid these texts from you for a reason, and they put you in their rabbinical mind prison, always asking the perpetual question, and like the proverbial dog chasing his tail. Carl, any thoughts on that?
No, sir. I think we covered that pretty good, brother.
All right, bro, let's go. All right, so we touched on that. Okay, I'm bringing this back into the fold. Who was Mithras? According to myth, Mithras was born from a rock, not a human. Born from the earth, Mithras emerged from a broken rock with a torch in one hand and a sword in the other. These objects represented his two roles as sun god and war god. Sun god equals son of God. Carl, like we said in the past, that no one can be born from a rock. Now, God can turn your flesh into a rock, as when Adam ruled, he turned these dinosaurs these creations, like the book of the Giants said, the creations of the devil, turn them into rocks, so God's sons wouldn't be devoured by these creatures. But here we're bringing this to the viewer that this Mithras is another picture or depiction of our father Atum Ra, and this is him emerging from the cave as the
Yes.
Emerald Tablets and our Canaanite buddies always say, y'all crackers live up in them caves. They always say that. That's where it comes from. That's the history of where the whites came from, living in caves. Because the father, when he was our father Adam, when he was thrown out of the heavens and put into this flesh body, as a normal man shrunk down into size, like you said earlier, Carl, our people lived in the rock caves. It was a high civilization being destroyed, and being as smart as they were, instead of building mud huts made of cow dung, they actually found they found a solid area as such as a cave to protect them from the elements. And actually they were commanded, Adam was commanded by the Most High to live in this cave. Carl, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm looking at this picture. Look at the size difference between Father Adam and the other humanoids in the picture.
That's
The
right.
animals we got look like a bull. We've got horses. We've got rams, and I don't know if that's indicative of his power as ruling over, or is this representing him before he was shrunk in size?
Bro, bro. I didn't even notice that, bro. You are truly Carl, dude. That's incredible. You're absolutely right. I do see the regular men next to him, and he's gigantic compared to them. Could that be an actual depiction of his size? Maybe. Who knows? It sure seems that way. Any thoughts on
Yes, sir.
that, Carl?
All right. Well, I think we're good. And that's it again. Now that's the question without the answer, but still, I'll ponder that for a while.
Well, we definitely know that Adam was put into a cave. That's
Yes,
an
sir.
Ethiopic text. That's also confirmed in the Emerald Tablets. And here we have Mithras. Also, the Romans actually started. They worship Mithras. This goes all the way back to Persia or Iran, land of the Aryans. But yeah, they obviously this, like we said, this was ancient ancestor worship, and this is a depiction of our father, the father of the white race, Adam Atum Ra. Okay, so having said that, let's move on to the next one. All right, Carl, you want to take this one?
Yes, sir. Jesus sank the Atlantic, or sank the Atlantis. But in his temple, all seeing, the dweller lay in his Awante, while through Atlantis his soul roamed free. Saw he the Atlanteans, by their magic, opening the gateway that would bring to earth a great woe. Fast fled his soul then back to his body. Up he arose from his Awante, called he the three mighty messengers, gave the commands that shattered the world. Deep neath the earth's crust, to the halls of Amenti, swiftly descended the dweller. Called he then on the powers of the seven lords, wielded, changed the earth's balance, down sank Atlantis between the dark waves, shattered the gateway that had been opened, shattered the doorway that led down below. All of the islands were shattered except Unal, and part of the island of the sons of the dweller. Preserved he them to be teachers, to be the teachers, lights on the path for those to come after, lights for the lesser children of men.
Carl and I have touched on this on many of our shows, and we keep bringing this to the mind of the viewer, and because we're making connections to all the other text, and hidden in these very words, like I said, and you notice the words that are capitalized here, dweller, unal. If you look at these words, you get rid of the L and you read it right to left, it's Anu. So all the islands of were shattered except the island of Anu, of Adam. All the parts of and part of the island of the sons of the Dwell, or the sons
Yeah.
of El, Emmanuel. He preserved them. So this is Adam and his son. And this is, if you read the books of Adam and Eve, and we've said this a million times, please forgive us for being, repetitive, but you can't get away from this. You'll never understand the Bible or what you're in today if you do not understand the past. And this is telling you that in God form, that there was an island except the island of Unal. It was not called Unal. It was called the island of Anu. And it said that the sons, and there were sons of Adam that dwelled on this island. It says that the part of the island of the sons of El, he preserved them to be teachers, lights on the path for those to come after, lights for the lesser children of men. So here again, we have the foundation of this group of people who were like the other men, but were unlike them. And that's the foundation of why supremacy. Y'all be having a why privilege. That's where it comes from, because this group was above the lesser children of men. Carl, any thoughts?
Yeah, let's back up a minute. He saw the Atlanteans by their magic opening the gateway that would bring to Earth a great woe. What do we see people that look like us today doing in CERN, Switzerland with the Large Hadron Collider? They're practicing what I think is pretty much the same form of this magic to open gateways. Why would we even try to do that? Open portals, open gateways that go down below, and they're bringing stuff into our dimension that will cause Earth yet again another great woe, I believe.
Another exactly Earth's destruction, and that's what it says. It says, and he who from his aguanti, he called the three mighty messengers. That who are God's top three angels, Carl?
I've got Michael, Gabriel, and Uriel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Right on
sir.
the money. He gave them the commands to sink it. Adam was done when they started doing this. Adam had already done the genetic mixing. I believe that Atlantis was still given a time period to exist, and when these demons that had infiltrated the land of Atlantis, when they were in there, they decided to totally destroy it under command of their father Satan, and through magic, which is nothing but another way of saying science, to open up a portal between the dimensions or the shadow realm and bring these demons, like we read earlier, these shadow demons from beneath that are locked away, to bring them up and destroy. And our father said negative and destroyed it. Carl, any last thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, it's almost like we're trying to get back or get back the power that we once had the wrong way, not through God's way, just like it's always happened.
It sure seems that way, bro. It's when you look
Yes.
at today and everything that we're living through. So,
Oh, yes.
having said that, let's go to the next one. Okay, hidden meaning of Unal. Unal, I just kind of gave it away there. Unal, like I get rid of the L and read it right to left. It's Anu, Anu, Anum, Atum, Adam. Anu, also known as An, is an early Mesopotamian sky god who was later viewed as the father of the gods and ruler of the heavens. So, like Carl has said in the past astutely, that Adam was not just put here with a rake and to hoe the corn on the earth to be a gardener or a farmer. Adam ruled the earth. It was given to him. It was his. The earth was made for Adam.
So again, another culture's expression or description or of our God, what we would call God in our church. That's just another culture's just what they called him, a name they called him.
Bro, spot on analogy, bro. And like we were saying earlier, in these texts, the Mesopotamian sky god was later viewed as the father of the gods. These original five gods would be Cain, Abel, and they were both born with twin sisters. Cain, Lulua, Abel, Achlea, and Seth. When Abel was murdered by the shadow realm demon known as Cain, Seth ended up marrying her. These were the original five gods. Carl, any thoughts?
No,
All right. So let's move to the next slide.
sir. That
All right, Carl, we're going to get into the Bible. Who were the Assyrians? Carl, I'm going to give you this one, bro. We're going back into the Bible and we're going to talk about the Assyrian Empire, which was one of the oldest empires on the face of the earth. And these were the same Assyrians that took the 10 northern tribes of El Ra'is into bondage, Carl. So go ahead and have at this one, Carl.
Yes. Who were the Assyrians? And that's the question. The Assyrian Empire was a major Semitic kingdom of the ancient Near East. It existed as an independent state for a period of approximately 19 centuries, from 2500 BCE to 605 BCE, which spans the early Bronze Age through the late Iron Age. Spanning from the early Bronze Age to the late Iron Age, modern historians typically divided ancient Assyrian history into early Assyrian, which covered 2600 to 2025 BC, Old Assyrian, which covered from 2025 to 1364, Middle Assyrian from 1363 to 912, and Neo-Assyrian from 911 to 609 BC, and post-imperial from 609 BC on.
So,
So,
Carl, first thoughts, anything come to mind?
well, I'm looking at again the the Semitic. You know this term anti-Semite or anti-Semitic. These people have no clue who the Semites were. They were our people. They apparently existed for even further longer than any of the Egyptian empires or any of the Chinese dynasties or anything. I mean, it's a pretty long-lived dynasty or kingdom.
Well, the reason I threw this slide in there, Carl, is because you read the Bible and it doesn't tell you anything about who these Assyrians were. You know, I've heard, I think even Swift was under the impression that these were an Asiatic people, but and I can't remember. I've listened to a lot of his stuff, but if memory serves, I think he was under that impression.
Yes, yes, he
And
did.
and we're saying negative. That's wrong. And through a little research, we came up with the fact that yes, they were a Semitic kingdom. So our enemy always hits. If you talk about our enemy, the sons of Cain, or the ones that intermix with the sons of Cain, or even worse, the fallen angels in flesh suits, they hit you with a psychological weapon. You're an anti-Semite. Carlos and I have said this in the past. Semite is the Greek pronunciation of the word Shemite. We understand and we know through our research that the actual Shemites and what they look like are hidden in the text. So if you look at, like I say, the fragments of Noah, says that when Noah was born, that he was white, he was pure white, and he had light coming out of his eyes, and he had a light emanating from him. And some will try to say, oh, he was an albino. We said this negative, that's wrong. And the light that came out of him was his Shekinah glory from the realms of light, because Noah had a special task of saving the sons of Adam, the first Israel, the first El Ra'is. So we brought this to the mind of the viewer that these Assyrians were a white race people and still are a white race people on the earth today. But the Bible is very vague and never gives you a physical description of what they look like. So Carl and I are bringing the evidence through our research of who these people were. And through wordplay and these anagrams and these word scrambles, the enemy has hidden in plain sight of who these people are. So this is a map of Assyria. And notice it's in the same region here, Carl. Notice it's Egypt, and it's all this area here, Iran, all this where the Scythians are, the ancient Tartarian people, and we're going to touch on that later on in the show. But the Assyrian Empire was a Semitic white race, Adamic, El Ra'is, sons of light. These were God's sons of light on the earth already. So having said that, let's go to this slide, and we're going to give the esoteric meaning, the breakdown of Assyrians. Carl, go ahead. Have at it, brother.
Okay, Assyrians equals Aryans, and that is the same as the children of Adam. So you knock out the SSY, you pull the A down with the Aryans. So we've got the Sanskrit word Arya is rendered as noble in William Jones' 1794 translation of the Indian laws of Manu, and the English Aryan, originally spelled Aryan, from Aryan, originally spelled Arian, appeared a few decades later, first as an adjective in 1839, then as a noun in 1851.
Wow. Wow. So Carl, let me have first dibs at this, my brother, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
If you notice right here, like I said, Carl and I have said before, they hide the meanings of who you are through wordplay and word scramble, anagrams, whatever you want to call them in the lexicon, they hide it. It's hidden from you. And if you notice right here, Aryan, we've said in the past that Aryan, the reason they went with the Greek pronunciation word, the Aryan through the Greek god Ares. So, and if you look at this Ares, he had sons on the earth. These were known as the Greek gods. And upon his fall, his name was changed to Seth. We said that before. So we're showing you that these Assyrians were the literal descendants in the flesh of Ares, the son of God, the god of war, who was the son, Seth, of Adam. Carl, any thoughts?
Yeah, I labored under the assumption from Wesley Swift that the Assyrian was a Mongol race, which didn't make any sense because I think that's who Cain, when he went east of Eden in the land of wandering, that's who he met up with and started, build a city, married a wife, which the Bible says, behold the Assyrian in the garden, not outside of the garden, the Assyrian in the garden, behold his branches and his boughs spread out and the birds light in them and all that stuff. So that right there just alone would tell you if they were in the garden, they were Semitic or of our race.
Well, and he also said something interesting. He said it's the oldest and largest tree in the Garden of Eden.
Yes, sir.
And it was okay for the children of Jacob, a later descendant of the first Israel, Adam, it was okay to interbreed and make the stars of the sky and the grains of sand on the seashore
Yes,
to
sir.
intermarry with them because they were the descendants of the first Israel, Adam. Now, having said that, I mean, if you really want to get deep into it, the actual Aryans themselves, like we said, why did Swift say that they were the oldest branch or the oldest tree in the Garden of Eden? Because it went all the way back to Atlantis. These were the sons of Adam who was in God form. And God said, be fruitful and multiply. And Carl and I had said this in the past, that Adam did exactly what his father told him in God form. He multiplied. That's confirmed in Greek mythology through Zeus and his escapades. I'm not going to get into that, but anyone who knows anything about Greek mythology will, I'm sure, has come across that. But also in the flesh, and he had children, and those children today are known as as Swift said, Anglo-Saxon, Scandinavian, Nordic, and Basque Lombard people of the earth, the white race of Adam. Carl, any thoughts?
Okay, yeah, I just looked it up. That's what I was doing. Behold, the Assyrian was a cedar in Lebanon with fair branches, fair meaning what? White, and with
White,
a shadowy
exactly.
shroud of a high stature. In other words, it was above all the other kingdom, and its top was among the thick boughs. Ezekiel 31:9, I have made him fair by the multitude of his branches, so that all the trees of Eden that were in the garden of God envied him.
Carl, dude, you are, bro, you're glowing right now,
I'm,
brothers. Dude,
I'm gonna drop the mic.
Carl, do you see the correlation, how all of this goes together? And
Yes, sir.
so when people tell you, I don't need this to confirm this, no, it's not about confirming one or the other. The Bible's an incomplete story. You have bits and pieces of the truth. And our Father says, study thyself to show yourself worthy to rightly divide my word. I may have killed that verse, but I've read it a million times. That's what it means. You have to study. Carl, break that verse down, bro, in its full context.
Well, study to show thyself approved, a workman not ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
Exactly. And what we're doing is we're bringing to the forefront these hidden texts and the hidden meanings and the word scramble of our race through Satan's children of darkness, hiding your identity from you. So you never repent of your sin and you die and you're recycled over and over and over again. And now as to whether you go to hell, Carl and I have come up with the same conclusion. That's no longer a thing for our people because of the sacrifice of El, the very first covenant with the children of Israel. It was not with Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob. It was with Adam. It was the covenant of the 5.5 days. Anyone can look up the Ethiopic text, and they'll come to the same conclusion because it's right in your face in there. If you have eyes to see and ears to hear, but if you reject those texts, You're that proverbial, and I'm not calling you a dog, it's just an example, but you're that proverbial dog chasing his tail. You're and wasting your entire life on only 66 books, thinking that you have the truth, but never coming to the full truth of the knowledge of the Most High Father, Jesus Christ. Or any thoughts on that?
Amen, dude. You wrapped that up pretty good.
I know, bro. I'm coming off my caffeine crash here, bro.
All right.
So having said that, let's move to the next one. Carl, I'm gonna take this one, my brother.
Yes, sir.
We just in that last slide, let me go back. It talks about the laws of Manu. So here we have it again. Manu. We're going to tell you what Manu is. The Manu Samirti, or the laws of Manu, are one of the most authoritative codes of Hinduism in India, dating back approximately 100 CE. Traditionally, the Manu Smriti was given by Manu, the first man and lawgiver. Oh my God. Gar, here's the man trick again.
Yes, sir.
And are a commentary on the legal and social systems of India, including the caste system. Carl, oh my gosh, bro. And this is a depiction of Manu, blue eyes, this bearded god with a crown on his head and the staff in his hand. And this is their depiction of our. He's not Asian. He is a white man. The white gods of Peru, the white gods of Mexico, Quetzalcoatl, right here, right in your face, Carl. Any thoughts?
No, it's consistent throughout every culture, ancient culture, that their gods that they worship and that they now hate the descendants of were white.
And when they're destroyed and the tares are removed off the earth, that will be the charge against them, trying to kill the sons of God and killing in the flesh the sons of God on the earth. So through their hatred and being blinded from their Father, that will be their destruction when the Most High returns. Carl, would you agree?
I agree. Yes,
All
sir.
right. So let's go to the next one. What is the meaning of Manu? Here we have it again, Carl, this word scramble. Reverse. Amun. Manu is Amun. Amun Ra, the sun, Luke 3:38. Atum Muta, the land of Muta, incomplete word, equals Adam, the son of God. So we go back to this text. He was the first man. No, he was the first God man, because the sons of light saw men in their bondage and made bodies for themselves. And Emmanuel sent Adam to the earth as the first lawgiver and to rule over the earth under God's law. Carl, any thoughts on this? This is incredible right here, bro.
It is, but and it's covered quite well right there. That pretty much says itself. Once you understand that the man trick is thrown in there.
And notice they use the man trick here, but they add the U to it because you get rid of the M and it's anu. I mean, we just went through the little word scramble anagram there, but Carl, it's right in your face.
Yes, sir.
And the reason Carl and I keep making shows about this, because like we said, we're going back to the beginning to give those of you who read the Bible and have certain questions, don't understand certain things. Who's this guy? Who was Adam? Who was Eve? What did Seth look like? The Bible is very vague, and actually it's not even vague. It's not there. It never tells you what Adam looks like. It never tells you what Noah looks like. It never tells you what Shem, Ham, Japheth, never tells you what they look like. And if you read the Bible and you stay in your rabbinical mind prison, you never come to the understanding of who you are and the very light that dwells in you. And you die in the sin of ignorance, because our Father commanded you. He said, my people are destroyed from lack of faith. No. Lack of belief. No. He said lack of knowledge. If you lack knowledge, that equals your destruction. He told you that straight up, Carl. Any thoughts?
No, and again, like Adam, we're taught that Adam did this, showed up, boom, never said another word. All that knowledge that he's passed down, we're bringing up. Adam said I had a lot to say to guide his children to get us through these minefield of the world that we live in. and that's never covered in the church. And like I said, they will not accept these ancient and removed or hidden texts because it's not canonized, it's not biblical. The church fathers didn't approve of it.
It's not
That's
canonized.
what leads us to have a lack of knowledge.
And and anyone who's watching, current events, if you can't see, like Carl said in the past, if you can't see that we're fastly approaching the end times or in the end times of this cycle, you're blind. You're blind. I mean, we are being driven, in my opinion, I can't prove this, but just from my observations, my opinion, we're being driven to a civil war in this country. I hope it doesn't come. I don't want to be a part of anything like that. On my job, I've seen people, with gunshot wounds, and it's disgusting. And Carl and I are not advocating violence. We're just saying that the social engineers of our society, with demonic connections, that they are literally steering both sides in this left-right false paradigm to a open armed conflict. Carl, I mean, would you agree? What's your opinion on that?
Agreed. And here we are in what we know to be the New Jerusalem, the gathering of Israel, God's sons of light. And we've been under attack since, I would guess, since 1776. That's when all of this started. And we've been slated for destruction by the evil one and pitted brother against brother, father against son, and to the end of destroying us in this new Jerusalem.
Bro, and to add on, that's a beautiful thought, bro. And to add on to that, you go into the Ethiopic texts, which are in Africa, the books of Adam and Eve. Satan told Adam to his face, "I will never stop trying to destroy you and your children. It was because of you that I was thrown out of the heavens and lost my light. It was your fault."
Yes, sir.
So in his blind rage and fit of jealousy, because God bestowed so much on his son, that they call him the black son in esoteric circles, but he's not a son. He was a created being. He became jealous of the true son of God, which was Adam, our father. And his first mission, and he succeeded, was to destroy the rule of Adam who was over him. We've said that in the past. Well, we didn't say it. We read it in the text that he did not want to be under the rule of Adam. So he concocted this story. He fell for it first. He not being a man, like our father said, gird up thy loins. And he followed the wife, and he didn't do what God told him, and he lost his kingdom. And we're under a continuation of that same very battle. They destroyed the rule of Adam, and now the remnant of Atlantis, which is the United States, the New Jerusalem, JRUSALEM, USA right in the middle. He's still attacking the remnants of the sons of El Ra'is, but in flesh form now. And we're still under attack to this very day, Carl. What say you?
Yes, sir. Us and where we came from, where we gathered from, those countries are under attack as well. It's consistent around the world. Everywhere our people have established a higher level of civilization, we're under attack. Rhodesia, South Africa, Australia, all of your Western European countries, and there's only a few holdouts of European countries like the Russians. Like, everybody's mad at Putin, but Putin is I would say he's a remnant of the tribe of Dan. Once you get rid of all the satellites or the Soviet states or races that were incorporated after the Bolshevik Revolution, you're left with white Europeans. They're our people. They're at war right now with the Ashkenaz that are ruling in Ukraine. Ukraine is 40% those guys. I will become strong through a small people. Those small people that are the usual suspects and do all of their father's bidding when it comes to destroying our people. So Russia, Poland, and I think Hungary are the only holdouts that are not falling for this welcoming with open arms the children of the evil one.
Bro, that was well said. There's no doubt. And my understanding is that, hold on a second, Carl. My understanding that, I could be wrong, but the original White Russians were one of the tribes of Judah. I don't know. I've heard that before. I heard that the tribes of Judah through teachings from Swift and Comparet and others, but the tribes of Judah were I mean, you had through Phares and Zara, you know, the Red Hand of Ulster, you know, the Irish, the Scots, through Phares, it would be the Germanics, the Lombards, the Italians, a branch of the Lombards, the Northern Italians, and you'd have the White Russians thrown in there as well. But irregardless of tribe, it's like we've said in the past, if you go beyond the tribe, the sons of Jacob, that was just an extension of the first Israel, and that was Adam, El Ra'is, God's sons of light. Those, like we said earlier, those are three incomplete words. And El Ra'is would simply mean the light that dwells within your temple, your flesh container. And it is a bright white light that emanates from your body. You can't see it. You can't see it through eyes unless God resonates that DNA and it sends out that light. It's a light projection, and it also emits a sound, which can be attached to musical notes. And you know, we've said that in the past. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but notice the church and even the CI masters, like we said, you know, in a dualistic system where you have your controlled opposition and your talking heads, they control all sides of every movement. And if people don't understand that, you know, I don't know what to tell you. So in other words, in closing, Carl, the meaning of Manu is a moon Ra hidden in plain sight. And the ancient text in India was that these were, some of these were the sin or the sons of Adam, and he ruled over them in God form. Carl, any last thoughts before we move on?
No, sir.
All right, so let me minimize this again. Hold on, let's go to the next one. All right, Carl, this is something that Carl got me on a while ago, a deeper look on Tartaria. So we're gonna jump into this. We're gonna give a shout out to Sefer. This is not his video, but we're just borrowing it, just like he did. So we thank Sefer for all his work, and anyone that doesn't know who he is, his name's Robert Sefer. He's a very good researcher, anthropologist. Check his channel out and give this guy some love. So having said that, let me start this.
There was a race of people known as Tartarians, which many historians know little about. Some speculate that they were once a great and sophisticated empire. Old maps clearly identify Tartary, or Great Tartary, as a huge landmass. Its people were described as Turkic, an ethno-linguistic culture found throughout Asia, North Africa, and parts of Europe. Tartary had its own flag, their own kings, and their own language. Maybe these Tartarians were related to the original three-dimensional Aryans who appeared during the Age of Aries, descendants of some of those who survived the cataclysm which wiped out Atlantis. This is interesting because in Herodotus's histories, he talks about a people called Atarantians. Could he be referring to the Tartarians, possibly descendants of the Atlanteans? The Internet Encyclopedia, encyclopedia.com, states that after the Bolshevik Revolution, Tartars were targeted for extermination. In the 1920s, most Tartar leaders and intellectuals who wanted independence were eliminated through execution or exile. This policy against the Tartars continued to some extent until the early 1950s. It is important to point out, as the victors write the history books, they occasionally try to eliminate important aspects which they see as counterproductive to their own importance. In 1999, a CIA document was released into the public domain, written in 1957, suggesting that the Soviet government set out to erase certain aspects of Tartarian history from the official record, essentially rewriting history to suit their agenda and modern narrative. When considering that the Bolshevik Revolution was partly financed by the international financial cartel, it opens up a whole avenue of historical deceit. After the German National Socialists came to power in 1933, a strong relationship developed between themselves and the Iranian Shah. A great deal of trade took place between the two countries, with almost 50% of Iranians' overall trade being with Germany. The Iranian people were immune to the German racial Nuremberg laws because of their Aryan heritage. In 1935, the Shah asked the international community to refer to the country as Iran, land of Aryans, instead of its Western adopted name of Persia. In 1939, Germany gave the Iranians a library of over 7,500 books relating to German science and the close relationship between the two Aryan cultures. Because of these close ties and volume of trade taking place between Iran and Germany, the Allies put pressure on the Shah to scale down his dealings with the Axis powers. Trying to keep all sides happy, the Shah promoted his country as neutral. Unconvinced of this, the Allies invaded on the 25th of August 1941 in a joint Anglo-Soviet attack on Iran. 3 weeks later, the Shah and any pro-German government officials were asked to resign. The Shah's son replaced him as head of state, allowing the Allies control of the country's oil fields. Between the 28th of November and the 1st of December 1943, the Tehran Conference took place, the first time the big three Allied leaders had met together during the war, to discuss future strategy concerning a second front against Germany, and also the need to recognize Iran as an independent country. Of all the places in the world to hold a conference discussing the defeat of the German Nordic Aryans, one can't help but feel that Tehran, in the heart of the land of Aryan, was not just a random coincidence. Although the United Nations debate on the race issue and its origins was settled in 1950, concluding we are all from the same species, and as Europe and Western sovereign nations undergo the controlled demolition of its individual sovereign nations, one can't help but speculate as to who will next be eliminated from the history books.
Carl, any thoughts, bro? That was incredible.
Oh, yes, sir. A systematic removal of history. I've watched that. I think I've covered it with you before. Look at the architecture from that time, what we call Tartarian architecture, which you've alluded to the fact that was probably Atlantean. Some of the stuff that we're seeing in Germany, some of those buildings, the sacred geometry, the perfect, absolute stonework and stuff that we're told was done during the Middle Ages with hammers and chisels. So our history's been hid from us. And this group of people, the Tartarians, have been removed from our history as well. Just like they're trying to remove us right now. What are they doing to us in our country? Destroying the statues, destroying our history, wiping out any of our link to our past, because once you have no link to your past, you're a lot easier to bump one out of the way.
And the dragon spewing the many waters of the
Yes, sir.
flood to wash away the seed of the woman, which, Carl, what does that mean?
Yeah, in Judeo-Christianity, I mean, they talk like a giant snake is going to land on the planet and the water is going to come out. I said that, it is absolutely these lesser people that are storming across our borders. And I say it like this: they come here to mongolize, amalgamate, and murder us out of existence.
Exactly. Mongrel, exactly. Bro, there's no doubt about that. I mean, it's replacement migration right in your face. And this is not the first time it's happened. Even Church Ward said that directly, going all the way back to Atlantis. I mean, it's nothing new under the sun, brother. Nothing new under the sun.
Not at all.
So let's go on to the next one. We're going to get into he mentioned the Aterantians, and we are going to break. Let me get this out of the way. We're going to break this down, what it means. Carl, go ahead and take this, my brother.
Okay, the Atarantians, we bring down the ATA. We just like all the other words where it's hidden in plain sight. Bring down the N. You've got Aton, which is another form of Adam, and then Atarantians. When you bring it down to you drop the T and you bring the AR. It comes down to Aryans, which are what? Aries, the descendants of Adam.
Yeah, that's right. The god of war, exactly. Ares, the god of war, the Aryans, the Sethians, or the Scythians. Right in your
Every flipping word that they used back then can be broke down and comes back as it all comes down to Adam.
it's all Adam and his descendants.
A
There's no
a
doubt
form of
about it.
Adam and a form of his descendants, just different languages, different cultures calling it different names, but there's a root, a common root in there that you've been able to extract on every occasion.
And no doubt, my brother, no doubt. And if you let's right here, it says the esoteric meaning of Herodotus, histories of the people known as the Atarantians. If you look at Atarantians, and you get rid of the A and the R, and you add an L, and it's the Atlanteans. That's why he called them that. But it's hidden for those with eyes to see and ears to hear. If you look at the Atlanteans, the Atar, the first four letters, or Tartaria, Atar, and this word's Atar. That's what he's saying. That's where the actual word Tartarian is. This is the root word of it. So if you reverse these two or you read it right to left, at Ra, it's at Ra or Atum. This is, like I said, incomplete word split down the middle. You add a and it's Atum Ra, the son of God, Adam, the son of God. Carl, any thoughts?
Yeah, and if anybody doubts this or questions it, just think about something like this: Scythian. I mean, this is all throughout, all part of our history. Scythian is a corruption or another form of Sethian. Saxon, a corruption or another form of Isaac's sons. Sakesune, which is another tribal name of Germanic people. Sakesune, sons of Isaac.
No,
I
no
mean,
doubt.
this whole word scramble thing has been thrown into our history at every level. And again, I see now that it's to throw us off to our true identity.
Exactly. So you die in your sin and never ascend. That's exactly it. Yeah, but you know what, Carl? I find it amazing. You get into Herodotus, and he's writing, telling you about these people, the Atarantians. And it's very similar. This is not by coincidence. I mean, like we said, if we find it once, maybe a coincidence, maybe two times, but bro, I mean, we're on part 4. And we still have more information. Part 5 is going to come out, and I think we're done with this series. But I mean, it's when does a coincidence become actual fact, Carl? I mean, it is what it is, and we're exposing this. You have people like what's the one guy's name? Lunch break, my lunch break.
My lunch break.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's got a great channel, but I think the only thing it's like right in front of him, and he doesn't see that the actual meaning of Tartaria, it's an anagram of word scramble, half words, and then scrambled words, reversed words, which is a way to hide who the children of Adam are. And this is not by coincidence, Carl. You break this down. I'm going to say it again. You break the at and the R down, and it's an incomplete word. You add the it's a tomb, and then you read it right to left or reverse it, anglicize it left to right, and it's Ra, Atum Ra. Notice when they say Israel, they're 3 incomplete words, and they're reversed. It's El, Emmanuel, Ra. Why is Ra in the middle of a supposed Hebrew name when Ra was an Egyptian god, Carl? Why is that there?
Yeah, I think you've answered that.
No, but I mean, our people don't see that. They don't teach you in the Judeo-Christian church that Israel is not those people who claim to be those in the Middle East. You have a group of people that claim, oh, we're with Israel. We got to protect Israel. Well, Israel today is just a modern landmass that they're speaking of. But like we said in the past, the Bible, and these are people who know the Bible inside and out, but I guess they missed that verse where it says, if you can count the stars of the sky or the grains of sand on the seashore, that's how many people will come of thee, and kings will come of your loins, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But if you look at the modern day people who claim that title, they're less than 1% of the population. So how are they the stars of the sky and the grains of sand on the seashore, Carl?
And how is I will bless them that bless you? And the last time I could find it on before it was scrubbed, from the time that was established in 48 through the Balfour Doctrine or through Balfour
Declaration, yeah.
Declaration, around $500 billion have been sent over there. So that's a pretty good blessing. But look what's happening. We're not being blessed. Our country's falling apart. Our infrastructure is rotten. Highways are falling apart. Our electrical grid's getting ready to go down. We're being overrun by heathens. How is that a blessing? So either, again, God was confused, and I'm saying no, or we've been lied to about who Israel is. And in the Bible, Israel was never a landmass to start with.
Exactly.
It was a race of people.
The name Israel was given to the landmass because of the people that lived there. And these were God's sons of light, but they hide the identity. And Carl and I are the only that I know of. And I'm not saying this, like I said, arrogant, but I'm proud of our research. And I thank God that he's given it to us. But through our studies of digging into these ancient texts, as far as I know, Carl, unless you've seen someone else that has said it, we're the only ones that have ever given a description of what Adam looked like by Adam himself, hidden in the text.
And I think people shy away from that. If they did see it in the text, they wouldn't bring it up simply because of that fear of being labeled as that's racist. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Racism.
But we're not the racists. We're just pointing out what's in the books, we're not doing this out of spite or out of meanness. We're just bringing it forward to what was written.
And pardon my English, but I just don't give a shit.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it like it is. You don't like it? Oh well, too bad. I'm not ashamed of who I am. Carl's not ashamed of who he is. And then if so, in other words, all these other people, you got this day and this day, proclaiming how great they are and blah blah blah. But if you say that I'm happy that my family was from northern Italy, or my mother's family, they were from England and Scotland and Ireland and France, I'm supposed to be ashamed of that? No, sorry, not happening ever.
No way.
Nope. Because how can you say, and you and I said this in the past, our people have been taught to hate themselves.
Yes, sir.
But at the other side of their mouth, they say that they love God. So we know for a fact we're the sons of light. We are the sons of God. So how can you say you love God but hate yourself? You understand what I'm saying, Carl?
Dude, that I gotta look that up. There's a verse that comes very close to what you just said in the Bible. I'll do some research. I'll try to drag that out later on.
Well, for you to hate yourself, and you're made in the image of our Father, like Jesus said in the Gospels of Nicodemus and in other texts that we found it, when Jesus went down to the pit of Sheol, hell, where his sons and daughters were being held, taking captivity captive, or the sons of Adam were held in captivity, and they were captive by Satan and Beelzebub. He said, "Come to me, ye my sons, who are made in my image." So if you love God, then you have to proclaim that you love yourself, not in an arrogant way, but you love yourself. And it's not the flesh body that puts us or makes us different than the others. As Wesley Swift so eloquently said, it's what dwells within the body that makes us different, or the light that dwells within these temples. Carl, and any thoughts on that?
I think the verse says if you say you love God but hate your brother, and who is your brother? Not everybody walking upright wearing clothing on the planet is your brother. So you're a liar. So if you say you love God and hate your brother, hate your own kind, your race, which our people hate their race, a lot of them do. So you're lying when you say you love God at that point.
And bro, that shows you the power of their satanic propaganda. We are literally getting our asses handed to us because we're afraid of being called a name.
Yes,
it's not like they're coming out and whooping us all up and down the street. you know what I'm saying? When you get in a fight, you get your ass beat, whatever. I mean, you learn from it and you move on. That's not happening. We're getting beat because we hate ourselves
Yes,
and
sir.
of them calling us certain names. And that tells you the power of the media and the prince of the air, who is to me is not a prince, he's a demon of the air. But that's a testament to the power of satanic propaganda. Carl, any
Yeah,
thoughts?
they call it spook the cracker. They can spook the cracker just by labeling you as a racist, and our people are so afraid of that label.
And anyone can't that doesn't see that they're coming here for a plunder and a spoil. I don't know what to tell you. So, Carl, having said that, let's move on to the next one. I think we're getting close to the end here, bro.
Okay, because I'm old and it's getting tired out.
Yeah, this is definitely this is the last one. Go ahead, Carl. You can take this one if you want, bro.
Okay,
End it out.
meaning of Iran, evidently from the time of the Sassanids, from 226 to 651 CE, Iranians have called it Iran, meaning the land of the Aryans, and Iran Shahar. In Middle Persian sources, the name Arya and Iran is used for the pre-Sassanid Iranian empires as well as the Sassanid Empire. So
Wow.
these people originated from our people.
And notice they said that this name of the Persians was given to them, and they wanted to go back to their original name of the Aryans.
See, they were labeled. They were labeled by the enemy.
Exactly. And this Persian name was given to them by the hordes that came in and warred with that nation. I mean, you can even Hollywood even tells you that. Like one of my favorite movies is that 300. That's one of the best movies I've ever seen. My opinion. I love that movie. But they tell you, you know, that this mixed multitude had moved into that land. And could that have been when the name was changed? I haven't really researched the name change from Persia to the land of Aries, but but they moved back to that, excuse me, that name Iran, which is symbolic of what we said. Aryan. Aryan is the root word of Aries. It comes from, or the sons of light through Seth, but in God form, he was known as Aries, the god of war. So, Carl, any last thoughts before we call this?
No, sir. I think we've got a good show in the can right now, buddy.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us. Carl, my brother, I love doing these shows with you, and I love our conversations, bro. And I always get something out of it, man. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, buddy.
same here. I get something out of it every single time, my friend.
And I ask the viewers if you find any value in these videos, please hit the like button because they really shadow ban us big time. I mean, I've seen my the likes on our video jump up and then totally get wiped to zero. Carl witnesses as well. So we're definitely getting shadow banned because this is taboo information and you are definitely labeled for even speaking of this. So anyways, thank you everyone for joining us and God bless and good night.
Good night, folks.